Hello everyone, this is Emil and I have a very special guest today with me. It's Illu who was a candidate for PolTeam manager and now is Rob's coworker in PolTeam. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, okay, first question. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Kevin. My last name is Vandini. I am 20 years old. I live in France, near Paris, not so far away. I love watching StarCraft 2 games and e-sport in general, like Counter Strike, Quake, Brood War, etc. And I do a lot of sports too. And then I'm a student.
Okay, and how old are you?
I am 20 years old.
Okay. So let's talk about the past for one moment. How did you know about the elections for PolTeam manager, and why did you decide to run for the manager?
Well, I didn't knew about the election first. I asked Funke that if Poland team needed a manager uh, for the future, and he told me that it's very strange because you guys have election, and in France we don't have elections. So that was kind of very interesting for me to do that kind of election, to introduce myself to people, etc. So I am close related with the Polish scene, and I love that scene. I love those players, and I decided to go for those election with Funke, who did a great help for me for those elections.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you do it in France? How do you choose your manager?
Well, it's a long time ago. I'm a manager. I started to be manager in Warcraft 3 when I was 15 years old, so it's now 5 years old. 5 years before, sorry. And I really still appreciate that work, that job, and I still want to be manager. And why not be one of the best manager in StarCraft 2 who ever exists?
Okay. But I would like to ask you, how do you choose a manager in France? With StarCraft 2 manager, because you said that we have elections, but I would like to know how it's done in France.
In France, to be honest, I don't really know, since the actual team manager of France was the Brood War team manager. So naturally, he was the StarCraft 2 team manager without asking anybody. We don't have any elections like in Poland, so nobody has asked asked someone to be the manager. He was naturally the manager, so that's like it, and I don't see anyone who can be manager
Okay.
at this place.
Okay. Do you know a lot of Polish players?
Yeah, sure. I know a lot of them personally for Diesta, Funke, Kaba, Mana, and Tarzan. Now Nerkio a little bit, but Slider and Forte, I start to know them. I already watch a lot of game of them, but I don't really know them. But they seem to be sympathetic and nice people.
And what do you think about the Polish StarCraft 2 scene? Because in Broad War, Poland was a really, really strong player, one of the strongest in the world. And right now it's not as good. Do you think there's something you can do to help us?
Well, yep, I knew that Poland team was very strong on Brood War, and I'm kind of disappointed about Poland team in StarCraft 2 doesn't don't do the same on a Brood War, since you got very nice players, and probably the best in Europe, and I guess Poland team get the best team in Europe with the Ukraine and Sweden. But yep, I guess I will try to at least do my best, and to train people together to create a team spirit atmosphere in the team, and we'll see what will be going for the team, and I guess we can do very nice work together, and I hope we will be European champion.
Okay, what will be exactly your role in Pole team?
Well, my role in PolTeam is of course to assist Pentagram, aka Rob. I'm the international relation manager and I will also organize some matches like I'm already doing for this Tuesday against Bulgaria, and probably for the end of the week against Spain. So we'll see in the next. But my role will be international relations manager, and of course to help Rob for the for the leagues, etc., and to train players, etc.
Okay, so how did it happen that you started your collaboration with Rob? Was he the one that called you, or did you approach him first?
I approached him first actually, since I had to do a post in the forum to introduce myself to for elections, and people were talking with me, uh, told me that it might be a good idea to go for a collaboration with a Polish who really well know the Polish scene. So I saw that Rob is kind of really liked people in Poland. So Funke told me, yep, it would be a very nice idea to collaborate with Rob. It would be a very nice duo together. So I decided to approach him and to tell him about that idea, and now we work together.
Okay, actually, I have one question. What's your experience in managing a national team? But you said you were a you were a manager in Warcraft 3. Do you manage any other teams or a clan?
I never managed a national team, but I was the European Nationship ESL admin. I was one of those. But yes, of course, I managed some international team like Existence, Inferno Gamers, BVG, Delta, etc. A lot of famous and nice teams. But in national team, I don't have any experience. But I think it's kind of same, so it won't be a problem, I guess, for me.
Okay, can we expect that PolTeam will be playing really often right now, since you are the international relationship manager? So you said 2 games with Bulgaria and probably with Spain. Any other ideas? Maybe against France?
At the moment, I try to be in touch with the players, so I didn't decide to do a lot of matches. I guess 2 matches for 2 matches a week is not that bad. Maybe one match a week is enough. I will see with the players in what and what when they want to play, etc. So I will see with the players, but I guess 1 match a week will be nice. If we have time, we'll go for 2 match a week, like we're probably going to do that week with Bulgaria and Spain.
Okay, what's I would like to ask you about esport in France. How does it look in your country? Is electronic sports how can I say this? Is it popular? Do teams have sponsors, or is it just a little scene that no one cares about that much?
Well, yep. In France, it's kind of particular since the teams, yep, have a lot of sponsors, like you see with Millennium, was sponsored by MSI and etc. We got very nice players like Tarzan, Dystar, and Scott, Todd, etc. So yeah, the sponsors are there, but the thing is, in France, the statutes of pro gamer is not really recognized by the society, so you can't live only with StarCraft 2 as a pro gamer. So that's sick, and I hope it will improve with the future, and I really hope France will be like Germany or South Korea for the future. But yeah, the sponsors are there, and they're giving money to get nice team like you see with Millennium or AAA or Varus Gaming.
Okay, I asked the players from Pole Team, do they have any questions from you? And there's one from Funke. Is there any chance you will come to a tournament that will be held in Poland, maybe with the World Cyber Games this summer?
The chance for me to see me in a tournament in Poland, I guess it's possible. I really would like to go in Poland for tournament, to see all the players, to see my friends, because I got a lot of friends in Poland since I was BVG in Warcraft free, and now I got Funke in my team, and now that I'm a team manager in Poland team, I really want to see them, and I really hope to come in Poland to be held in a tournament, to come in a tournament will be held in Poland. So I really hope so, and I will do my best to come in Poland to see you guys.
The next question is from a different person. He's like to ask you, do you think there's a chance that the PolTeam will have a sponsor? Does a French national team has someone that's sponsoring them?
To get a sponsor, I absolutely don't know if the Friends get a sponsor. They probably get sponsor. It's a good question. Personally, I never asked myself about that. It's possible. I don't know how it work exactly for the sponsor for the national team, but yeah, but it's an option. We have to see why not to get a sponsor for the players, etc. I don't know. It's a very good question. I never asked myself before about that.
Okay, and the last question from the PolTeam players is from Tarson, and he would like to know when will you introduce him from the girls from your team, because I know they are playing from Counter-Strike, I think.
Yeah, we have very nice girls in our team, and I know that Tarzan will be close related to those. And yep, it's not on me. Yep, of course you can't talk with those girls on Facebook yet. But you will see those girls in an international event one day, I guess, and I hope for him.
Okay, just few last questions about the game. Your favorite map,
I guess it's Metalopolis.
your favorite unit.
I would like to say Hydra, but the Hydraulisk is really slow, but got a very good DPS. But I would keep Hydra.
And your favorite build order? Something you
Um,
like to see in a game, because actually I like seeing mass ghosts. That's something you don't see too often, but something you really like to see in a game.
I'd like to see a TVZ in general. So I'd like the big battles with tanks, Thors, Marines, Banlings, Mutalisk, etc. So yep, the big battle with 2,000 population for both big units.
Okay, do you think there's a balance in the game? Is the game balanced?
Well, when I play, I usually complain about Terran and Protoss since I'm Zerg player. But as manager, as a guy who would see the three races like no, not a player but a manager, I would say that the game is just about to be to man I forgot the word be
Okay.
balanced. Yep, sorry, to be balanced.
Yeah,
But
I think it should be.
yet I get Protoss still have the advantage, and we'll see with the further patches if it's going to be balanced or not. I hope so, but it's close to.
Okay, and the last question, the most important question there is, everyone in PolTeam answered that question. What kind of pizza do you like?
Well, since I'm Italian, I love all the pizzas, so but I prefer the pepperonius one.
Okay, pepperoni. Well, okay. So thank you for your time. It was really nice to talk with you. It was a pleasure, and well, I hope your work with PolTeam will be really successful.
I hope so, and thanks for you.
Okay, goodbye everyone. That was Emil, and I was talking with Illu. I hope you're gonna have a nice day.